Yes, I'm traveling, so I think there's something wrong with my connection. This is the only line possible for me at the moment. Talking about the intermediates, the Q4FY22 prices of H acid and vinyl sulfone, that's about 474 for H and 288 for vinyl sulfone respectively. And at the same present prices are 460 and 275 per kg respectively. This price has remained volatile during this fourth quarter. This year, dye intermediate chemicals made a revenue of 735 crores for us, an increase of 33% on year-on-year basis. Many textile SMEs are struggling to keep their businesses afloat because of the unprecedented volatility in the cotton prices. It affected the overall demand of dye intermediates. Although we consume more than 45% of intermediates to produce dye stuff, we still have significant demand to serve. In basic chemicals, close to half of the basic chemical capacity is captively consumed for dye intermediate production. Our overall basic chemical segment contributed around 10% of our total revenues during FY22. The chlor-alkali business, our endeavor is to move up the value chain and diversify our business from core dye stuff and intermediates into the chemical products such as benzene derivatives and chlor-alkali products. Strong tailwinds and high demand aided the Indian chlor-alkali business. We purchased Rajpura Punjab facility in the first quarter of FY22. The chlor-alkali business delivered a strong performance with revenues of 254 crores in FY22. We are confident that demand from FMCG, textile, paper industries will be sustainable and we will be their reliable and preferred partner. After the technology upgradation program, we expect this unit to generate total revenues of 300 to 325 crores at optimum levels in the normalized scenario. Benzene derivatives and sulfuric acid and derivatives, our Saika Greenfield project is in progress and we plan to have it commercialized same by Q1 FY24. The capacity of sulfuric acid and derivatives will be 3,50,000 tons per annum, which will include products like sulfuric acid volume 23, volume 65, liquid SO3, chlorosulfonic acid, liquid SO2, etc. We will also manufacture benzene-based downstream products such as MCB, PNCB, ONCB, MNCB, DNCB, PNA, 2,4-DNCB, and MPDSA at the same Saika location. We should be able to sell these products to our existing clientele and partly will be used for our captive purposes. We expect this project to generate additional revenues of around 550 crores at optimum levels. 32% of our total business came from exports. Hence, the increase in the freight and transportation costs has increased our other expenses considerably. And other developments, we do business in over 45 countries and have a product portfolio of over 200 products. This diversification requires significant resources for managing the inventory of critical raw materials and finished products, as well as the lengthy transit time. In the event of supply chain disruption, we prefer to preserve inventories and satisfy our clients' needs in the shorter time frame. We have formed several trading and marketing subsidiaries to build a stock point and expand into new geographies and markets. Our Turkey subsidiary, Fener Boya sales dispatches have improved meaningfully in the last 1 year. We have acquired remaining 20% equity stake of Fener Boya to make it a 100% subsidiary. Bodal China and SPS unit have also performed well with significant growth in top line. We are in process to amalgamate the SPS with Bodal. In a medium to long-term view, these subsidiaries will penetrate the respective regions and will bring meaningful business to our company. The primary goal of earlier investment has been to bring a long-term sustainable business model without losing the leadership in the legacy business. FY22 has been good for us, bringing better stability to overall business. We foresee our business would be less volatile and more diversified in the coming years, as we would be catering to a broad end-use application market with a wide product basket. Global protocol and compliance have essentially redirected the demand to organized players like us. Indian chemical companies like us are poised for growth owing to increasing preference for a sustainable partner. Thank you, and now I hand over the call to Mr. Mayur Padya, who he will walk you through the financial performance.
Good evening, everyone. Overall performance of the company has been robust for the Q4 and FY22. Most of the facilities were operating at the healthy level. This growth is driven by better price and product mix. Our consolidated performance for Q4 FY22 are as follows. Total revenue stood at rupees 600 crore for Q4 FY22, a growth of 39% year-on-year basis. EBITDA stood at rupees 56 crore for Q4 FY22, a degrowth of 4% year-on-year basis. Net profit for the quarter stood at rupees 29 crore for Q4 FY22, a growth of 33% on year-on-year basis. Our consolidated performance for FY22 are as follows. Total revenue stood at rupees 2,068 crore, a growth of 66% on year-on-year basis. Around 32% of the business is contributed by export and balance 68% from domestic sales. EBITDA stood at rupees 237 crore in FY22 against rupees 120 crore for FY21, a growth of 97.7%. The Turkish lira has been volatile throughout the year and has affected the annual performance. The impact of full year basis has been incorporated into the consolidated financials. However, we have taken appropriate steps to address the forex exchange fluctuation, and the same is reflected in the Q4 FY22 performance. Other expenses on full year basis has also increased primarily due to additional overhead costs from Rajpura unit coupled with higher power and logistic cost. Net profit for the FY22 stood at rupees 99 crore against rupees 40 crore of FY21. FY22 top line performance of the key subsidiaries was healthy. SPS posted revenue of 159 crore, a growth of 62% on year-on-year basis. Senergoya has reported a total income of 85 crore, a growth of 16% on year-on-year basis. Total income from China subsidiary was rupees 36 crore, a growth of 124% on year-on-year basis. Segment-wise performance on a consolidated basis for the FY22 are as follows. Dyestuff revenue stood at rupees 700 crore, a growth of 75% on year-on-year basis. Dye intermediate revenue stood at 735 crore, a growth of 32% on year-on-year basis. Basic chemical revenue stood at rupees 196 crore, a growth of 57%. Chlor-alkali division and TCCA revenue stood at 254 crore and 35 crore for the FY22. Total production volume on a standalone basis for the FY22 are as follows. Dyestuff reported 20,058 metric ton for FY22 against 14,756 metric ton for FY21. Dye intermediate reported 25,985 metric ton for FY22 against 21,811 metric ton of FY21. Basic chemicals stood at 1,92,051 metric ton for FY22 against 1,56,382 metric ton for FY21. Chlor-alkali stood at 79,773 metric ton, of which caustic soda stood at 57,938 metric ton. TCCA stood at 1,270 metric ton for FY22 against 1,461 metric ton of FY21. With this, I conclude the presentation and open the floor for further discussion and question and answer.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Thank you. Our first question is from the line of Surinder Kumar Agarwal, an investor. Please go ahead.
What are the updates of the case relating to recovery of 13 crore bad debt declared by the company?
There is still no recovery from that bad debt.
Yes.
The person who was responsible seems out of India, and we are not able to trace him. So till now there is no recovery from that bad debt.
Second question, my second question is, when the Rajpura plant will be closed for final operation of the manufacturing process? Yes.
Rajpura plant upgradation and capacity expansion work is going on, and we are expecting that to complete in Q3 FY23. So by December 22, we are expecting that to functional with modern technology as well as additional capacity. Presently, that plant is working, and at the time of switching to the new technology, we are required to keep the plant closed for a week or so. Otherwise, it will go on working.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next question is from the line of Devendra Pandey with DP Financial. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, sir. So my first question is regarding factory closures in Gujarat that are producing dye intermediates. So can you explain what could be the reason behind this, sir?
Sorry, there was a disturbance. Can you repeat your question?
So we have seen many factory closures in Gujarat which are producing dye intermediate. So what would be the reason behind this, sir?
Yeah. See, for dye intermediate, particularly after March, we are facing some issues, particularly rise in price of basic chemicals and coal prices. Now, for dye intermediate, the immediate competitor for us is China. And in China, we have experienced that because of COVID, last 3-4 months, they were disturbed. And the raw material prices, particularly basic chemical prices, have not increased to the extent which are in India. So there is a disparity as far as cost of production in India and China. If you take like example of caustic soda, which is prevailing at present 60 rupees in India, and in China it is still traded at about 40-45 rupees. Like this product, other products like sulfur, caustic soda, and even coal. There are some differences which is because of this temporary disruption because of COVID. Cost of production is bit higher compared to China, and that's why some of the units have closed their production. This is the reason. So once there is a parity, they will once again start production.
And I would like to just add a little bit on this. Some of our competitors, their model is a little different, where they are standalone intermediate players. So in a time like this, they shut down the plant. But we have a 45% captive consumption. So at a same time like this, we are comfortably operating the plant, but it is obviously at a lower production level right now. But I think in the past also we have experienced similar scenarios. I think it's not there for a long time.
Understood. And sir, my second question is on what is the current market of vinyl sulfone and HRC, and do we have enough orders to serve this vertical?
So vinyl sulfone overall is in a better position. HRC is where the pressure has been created because there's a lot of coal consumption there. There's a lot of caustic consumption there. And like Mayur Bhai was explaining, there's a little difference in the cost at which India is buying and China is buying. So that is hurting a little bit in HSA. But for that, we have lowered down our production levels, but we are catering to our captive consumption. And at the same time, it may go on for maybe a month or two like this. But I mean, like I said, in the past this has happened, and then it comes back to routine. And HSA, I mean, contributes around 10 to 15% of our total revenues. So we are not concerned that big. I mean, it may affect our revenues, but similar things happen all the time. When we are working in 3-4 different sectors, at the same time, a couple of our other sectors are doing very well. So they are operating at 100% available capacity, and the margins are good. So in general, this is how the combination of our business goes. Where at times one or two sectors are little dull, and then they come back to routine.
Got it. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Pankaj Jain with Mahavir Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, my first question is related, if you can throw some light on core alkali business, sir.
The chlor-alkali business, we acquired the capacity at Punjab, and then because it was an old plant, they are operating with the older technology where the consumption of the power is more, which results in higher cost. So we have immediately, placed the orders, and we have in fact received the main technology, machinery in the last few days only. And by Diwali, we are planning to upgrade the technology, which will bring down our cost, annually around 25-30 crore rupees. Also, at the same time, we are increasing the capacity a little bit. So our capacity will also go up to 100,000 tons per year, which in FY22 we did about 55,000. So also the consumption areas of caustic are doing very well right now. That is why the prices of caustic has been historically high, and they are sustaining since last 3-4 months. And going ahead also, June still looks very strong because there are regular exports that are happening from the western part of India. That is helping these higher prices in India to sustain. So I see at least few more months where the prices of caustic to sustain. I mean the current levels around 60-55. Even a price of 45-50 is very good. Even if it starts coming down, and it takes about 3-4-5 months to normalize, I think that period will also be very good.
Sure, sir. That was helpful. Sir, secondly, if I recollect correctly, earlier we were targeting an annual revenue of approximately 300 crores from our Punjab plant. So if I say this inflationary cost pressure, so any revised guidance of revenue from that front?
We had given a guidance of around 300 crores. At current levels, obviously, it would probably cost 400 crores. But if I talk about some average prices in the last 10 years, then it should do about 325 crores.
Okay, so not major jump over. Sir, lastly, what would be the, as you mentioned that the Rajpura plant will be operational by December or so, so what would be the opportunity, that the revenue potential from the Rajpura plant?
Yeah, so Rajpuri plant is the chlor-alkali plant only. So that is where we had a 255 crores of revenues in FY22, which will go up to about 325 from Diwali onwards. It will run at an annual basis about 325 crores.
Got it. And the demand scenario is robust, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Got it, sir. I'll join back in the queue if I have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Our next question is from the line of Aditya Khetan with Smiths Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my first query was on the caustic soda. So what is the caustic soda volume figure for FY22?
By the way, can you just say the number?
Sure.
It is around 50,000 plus. It's around 50,000 tons.
50,000 metric tons. Okay. And the second on so when we talk about the annual volume figure for dye stuff for FY22, so that is around 20,058 tons. So this includes the captive consumption or it excludes it?
In dye stuff, we don't have any captive consumption. We sell it.
Sorry, dye intermediate.
Direct to
dye
consumer.
intermediate.
Yeah, dye intermediate, whatever production figure that includes captive consumption. And your earlier question, caustic soda, last year's production was 57,938 metric ton.
Okay. Sir, so now question on the dye stuff front. So from post-March, what we are witnessing that the cotton prices have shooted to a record levels, and that has led to some sort of instability into the textile production. So most of the textile players are out of the market as of now. So because of the lack of cotton, so how does this impact our dye stuff business? Because almost 60% of the dependency of dye stuff business is on the textile side. So how you see this thing to shape up, and will this impact our Q1 FY23 revenues considerably?
So you are right about the cotton prices being very volatile. But if I share my knowledge about last few days or few weeks, it's not very volatile now anymore, and prices have been correcting. And I feel that somewhere it will be settling, which will give an opportunity for the textile players to stabilize the business and maybe pass on whatever the increase in the raw material prices are. So I think, yes, it did have a few months of volatility, but I think we're going towards stability now. And I think cotton is definitely one of the reasons why there was some disturbance in the overall textile demand. And that led to some lower demand of dye stuff. That again led to some lower demand of dye intermediates. Which is the reason why there is some slowdown at the moment in the dye intermediate production capacities also.
One other thing is, when we produce dye stuff, it's almost 70% we export. So over there is not big disturbance what we feel in India. At the same time, dye stuff we do have some long-term order. So we are comfortable as far as dye stuff division is concerned. It's not that it's booming, but yes, to some extent we are better positioned compared to other players.
Okay. Sir, on the caustic soda side, I made some calculations. So the average selling price for caustic soda in this year FY22 was 48 rupees a kilo. Means considering we had acquired the plant on a slump sale basis, the quality of the plant was not good. Still, we are able to get some sort of high realization. So what is that difference? So what makes the case for upgradation of the technology into the caustic soda side when the existing plant only is yielding some sort of 48 to 50 rupees a kilo caustic soda realization?
No, so when we acquired the asset, that time the prices were very low. In fact, we had at a net profit level, we had some small losses also in the first couple of months because the prices were under pressure at that time. The scenario changed about 6 months ago. Yes, that is why the average, the current prices, the prices went up to 70 rupees. That's why the average price, looks very strong. But if I look at the last 10 years price, including even couple of extraordinary times like this, it won't be more than 35 rupees. So to operate in that 35 rupee business, if I look at the next 5 or 10 or 20 years, we have to be competitive. So the main reason was to upgrade the technology. We got the asset at a very attractive price, and immediately after the acquisition, we placed the orders for the technology upgradation, which I already earlier mentioned that it will save around 30 crore rupees for us annually. So again, to be competitive in the market against the competitors, and also to save this 30 crores on annual basis. That is the key. Even at 48 rupees or 60 rupees or 30 rupees selling price, that 30 crore rupees annually will be saved for sure, because it is in the cost side. It will save our power unit consumption.
Okay, got it. So just one last question. Sir, you had said that to an earlier participant that there's a disconnect in the prices when we look at caustic soda or any other sort of raw material. So considering if there is a shutdown considerably because of COVID in China, so the vinyl sulfone and H-acid prices should have been skyrocketed. So considering they are the largest manufacturers, still we are not witnessing that sort of a trend onto the prices globally. So what is the possible reason you foresee? So still there is supply in the market, considering there is another country which is supplying good amount of H-acid or vinyl sulfone?
No, I think what happened was China, yes, it was shut down, but not the entire country was shut down. In part, especially in the manufacturing, hubs are usually, away from the cities where, COVID waves or COVID spreads are not as bad as, in the cities. But being in the city, having been affected by COVID, spreading very, very high, I think they had maybe certain quantities available, which usually aren't. So what I would take this as is that their demand was a little disturbed, where maybe the supply of the raw materials intermediates was not disturbed that much. And another reason is it's not that a lot of the material is coming from China, but their cost is a little lower because their coal prices are much lower at the moment. The coal prices have been controlled by the central government from Beijing. Here in India, the coal prices are higher. Also, a couple of the key raw materials are also much lower in China for a few reasons. And so that is why their cost only in H-acid at the moment is coming a little lower. So when the cost is coming lower, they are able to offer to Indian buyers at the lower price. So that's why there is some pressure here. But I think once COVID scheme normalizes there, then their consumption of the H-acid will be normalized. I think then there won't be much materials available. Also, there are a lot of volatilities in terms of logistics, in terms of coal, a lot of the raw materials, basic chemicals, basic components. So this is also affecting the cost of in some products India may be cheaper at the moment. In some products China may be cheaper. So I think this is just a little extraordinary time which we are witnessing. But I think if the COVID stays away, I think things should be normal. Where Indian supply should be able to meet the Indian demand well, and there shouldn't be much disturbance from Chinese supply.
Okay. So just a follow-up on this. So suppose if this the disparity in prices continue for the next 2 months, so do you foresee any substantial impact on the business? Because considering the situation today, so China is offering at a steep discount. So definitely, there would be good amount of pressure if the situation continues for the next 2 months also.
No, even if it continues for, let's say, even a quarter or two, I think it doesn't affect us in a big way because I mentioned earlier, the revenues from H-acid we get is around 10 to 15%. So even if, let's say, we are able to operate only at 50%, then it's, the top end may only be affected by 5-6%. And at the same time, we are also into, many other sectors and other businesses where, we are seeing improvement. So I don't think it's a big setback for us at all. This can happen again if the caustic price goes down, let's say, to 40 rupees. Then again, it may have a hit of 5% on the normal annual revenue side. I think it is very much. We go through cycles. I think manufacturing business goes through cycles like this all the time. We are into 5 or 6 different product lines. Where 1 or 2 and at any given time maybe under a little pressure. I think this is very, very common. If we depended, let's say 30, 40, 50% on H-acid, and if my plant is only at 50%, or if my plant I have to shut down, then it's a big setback. It can affect the annual numbers, it can affect the quarterly numbers. But I think it's a very small portion for us now, HRC business.
Got it, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all from me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, then please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Our next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor with Kapoor & Co. Please go ahead.
Namaskar, sir. So just to take the point forward, which you mentioned currently, sir, currently the caustic soda prices are in the vicinity of, I think so, $700 in the international market. So just trying to get the sense of the disparity which you are explaining in terms of Chinese prices being much lower than what the other geographies are quoting, sir. If you could clarify on that side.
So Chinese domestic prices are around 45 rupees, where again, if they want to export to India, but which is not available because again the logistic part is very high. Also, their own demand, I think, is pretty much high. So the domestic production goes towards the local demand. So, but I think they are overall they are the largest producer of caustic. They are at around 45-50% of the installed capacities of the world. And their lower buying of coal is also supporting them and is keeping their caustic cost down. So I think India and China are not directly connected or related in the caustic business. Where there are no imports coming from China. I mean, if you look at the western region where the chemical hubs are, then there is hardly any consignment that comes from China even in the last 5 or 10 years. So the India and China both work in different regions. I think the caustic prices, there is a difference. It affects us in our intermediate business, but in our chlor-alkali business, it makes no difference. And like you said, 700, yes. For June, Indian companies have got orders for $720 and around, I think, $740 for the June shipments. So that's a very good realization again. And this has been happening in the last few months. So that is the big support that, the Gujarat players are getting. That is why, across India, the prices are remaining very, very high.
So you have put a number that the next month deliverables are at $740 for caustic soda export.
Yes, there are already orders. The Gujarat couple of companies, 3 companies in fact, have already got orders of caustic exports for the month of June at average around $730.
So sir, then this relevance of China quoting lower is it only a misnomer or is it different geography, different work altogether? What should we draw conclusions from the prices trading lower at the Chinese market?
No, so when we say 45 rupees, that is a local price in the chemical hubs. If China wants to export, then from the chemical hubs, they have to go to the ports. There is a packaging cost. There is a big freight cost, which is very high at the moment. So let's say if you want to buy that 45 rupee material in Gujarat, it will not cost you less than, let's say, 55-60 rupees. And at a such high price, shipping time is high. Shipping cost is high. So at the same time, there are no imports here at all because there is from western part of India, there is a demand which caters to, let's say, Africa or Middle East. That's where the Indian companies are able to export. Where China is, mostly, consuming the materials, in-house, I mean, within the country. And whatever export opportunity, because it is a low value product, you have to sell to the closest buyer. So for China, they will realize more money if they sell it to, let's say, South Korea or Taiwan or Vietnam or Malaysia, countries like that, even into Western United States. So that's why India and China, we both work in different regions. Being a smaller value product, if it is a 200, 300, 400 rupee product per kg, then logistic cost, extra logistic cost, can be absorbed. Then the products can be probably exported from India to maybe even Europe or US. That happens in intermediates and dye stuff and all that.
Correct, sir. Sir, if you could give us some more color on the current business environment for the entire value chain for us, sir. What was it at March end, and how are things shaping up? So since situation is so dynamic in continuation to the basket in which we operate.
So overall, our there's a good development in the TCCA where there was an issue about exporting the material to US being a hazardous product, and there's so much of demand of containers to US. Most of the shipping lines were not taking this hazardous material. But now, since last 1.5, 2 months, we are able to regularly export. So I can say, that plant manufacturing of the plant and the exports have regularized for us, so which is a good sign. Then caustic is definitely doing very, very well. The prices are sustaining easily around 60 rupees. So that is definitely making good money for us. Basic chemicals, where there is an issue with the higher input cost, where sulfur is the main raw material, which is around 40 rupees right now per kg, which is around 4 times than the last 10-year average. So that is still we are able to pass on the increase, and we are still able to make some normal margins. Our thionyl chloride business is doing very well. It is running at more than 100% capacity. And the margins are sustaining there also. Our dye stuff, because we have some good orders, I think our dye stuff quantities are doing very, very well. Where we are able to consume our intermediates about 45-50%. In intermediates, which is again about 30% of our revenues, yes, there are some issues right now at the moment, because some of the raw material costs are very, very high, and in HSC, like we talked about earlier, there is a cost advantage. I think China has a little bit right now, so that is affecting us just a little bit. So overall, compared to this Q4FY22 versus Q1FY23, there may be a little slowdown in terms of volumes or numbers, yes, but I think it's not a very, very concerning numbers.
Right, sir. Sir, when we look at your consolidated numbers, sir, on a Q-on-Q basis also, the subsidiaries are making losses. So what are the key reasons that we are seeing losses from Senerboa and I think so Senerboa and especially SPS in particular reporting losses for financial year 2022? And what steps are we taking, whether it is the lower utilization levels, or if you could clarify on the same?
So SPS was definitely hurt by this HSC, because SPS only has a HSC plant. Recently we have started our vinyl sulfone production also there, which is now stabilizing. It will take some time. But HSC is being the key product there, because of the cost being higher, especially the manufacturing unit is in North India. So it has a little bit of a higher cost compared to the Gujarat units also. So I think that is what hurt us in this last quarter, HSC production in SPS. I think that's where some big loss has come from. So the steps we are taking for SPS is, we have already started the vinyl sulfone production there, which works in a good synergy, and which brings down the cost overall. And both together, create a good margin. So that is what we are doing right now. I think within few months, both should be operating at a healthy utilization, and that should we should not be making losses there, and maybe create some decent margins also there. In Senerboa, I think it was a good move, but the COVID affected us big time. So right in 2019 we acquired 80% stake. But then immediately, we had these issues of COVID. So it has been a difficult and challenging ride for us. In the Q4FY22, we had a issue because of the forex. Because of the lira being depreciated big time. I think we made some losses there. But we have taken the right steps. Our financial team has done the right thing. We have converted all our exposure into the local loans, etc. in Turkey. So which removes the risk that we face, and we had to book some losses one time. So there also we are moving from exposing the loans from Indian parent company to Turkey, and we have stopped doing that, and we are taking local currency loans, which doesn't affect us in terms of the currency. Maybe Mayur Bhai can explain a little bit better about what we are doing in Turkey. Boya.
Yes, sir, but we also, just to, sorry to interrupt you, but we took another 20%, acquired another 20% stake. So what valuation did we pay for it and earlier, and what have been the valuation currently, sir, for Senar and the reason for acquiring, sir?
See, earlier we have paid about 32 crore when we acquire 80%. At that time, the company's volume was about 100 metric ton per month. Because it's a trading company, so its volume is important. And even though there is a COVID last 2 years, we have reached to more than 250 metric ton per month. So it has a very good potential to grow further. And considering all these things, we paid about 31 crore for balance 20 crore, 20%. So we have acquired by this way 100% stake in this company. And as mentioned by Ankit Bhai, since there was a COVID, we could not perform fully. So without COVID, we will able to perform better and it can grow further. So this is one area. Your second question regarding the steps taken by us in Senar Boya. So earlier there was payable as far as trade credit as well as foreign currency loan in Senar Boya, which was to the tune of about $8 million when we conclude the quarter of December 21. So that was the main area which has affected or which has created loss for the company, because the lira depreciated heavily, and having loan in US dollar, there was a huge loss for us. But now we have paid off all the loan which was there in foreign currency. For that we have acquired some local currency loan and some funding we have done from here to there. So whatever loan we have given to Senar Boya, that also we have converted into capital. So at present there is no US dollar borrowing or payable by way of loan. So at the same time there is some receivable in US dollar because of we export about 30% of our volume to Uzbekistan. So there is a positive position as far as Senar is concerned. So if there is a further depreciation, we will earn something from forex area rather than we pay or we lose something as far as forex loss is concerned. So we have taken enough steps, and there is no possibility that we can face further loss. And all the experts are saying that lira can depreciate further, but there is no regular or further appreciation is visible.
Mr. Kapoor, if you have more questions, please join the queue afresh. Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Anik Mehta with Wolford PMS. Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my first question is regarding capacity utilization. Can you give numbers of capacity utilization in dye intermediate and dye stuff?
Yeah, dye intermediate capacity utilization was very good, almost 95% in Q4 FY22. And dye stuff, it was a bit lower, For Q4, it was about 50%, but for the full year, it was about 57%. And for basic chemical, it was more than 100%. It was 106%. Thionyl chloride also 109%. This were the utilization. And caustic soda also, whatever was possible. So we were running with the older technology. So we have cleared earlier also that we will able to operate at about 70%. And we were operating even more than 70%.
Sir, regarding dye stuff capacity utilization, what is the outlook going forward? Is how do you foresee the utilization going forward in another, let's say, in another few quarters, especially in this FY23?
For FY22, we did about 57% utilization, I think, which is not bad because dye stuff has a wide range of products, where we have to switch, from product to product having different shades. So I think the peak utilization is around 70%. So we did about 57, which is not a bad number. I think going ahead, we do have many long-term orders, and our order book looks very, very strong right now. So even in the coming quarters, I think dye stuff business should do quite stable.
Okay. Sir, do you see any impact of Ukraine war in your business?
No, so far we have not seen a direct impact of Ukraine war in our business, but there are, I think, some indirect effects. I think main being in chlor-alkali business, where Russia supplies this gas to almost all the countries in Europe, where there are some disturbances because of which in the chlor-alkali plants in Europe, most of them are based on gas. So because of that, and again, Europe has about 20% of global capacity in chlor-alkali industry. So that I think there are some difficulties of productions, and there are some utilizations have gone down. I think that is helping the global. That is probably creating some supply constraints, global constraints, and that is probably helping the manufacturers globally to sustain a high price that has been happening in last few months.
Okay. Sir, you were referring higher prices of cotton, which keeps lots of textile players out of the business. Sir, you rightly told cotton price is settling down, but sir, still it is elevated. Sir, let's say we don't know, no one knows what will happen going forward in another couple of months, in another 3-4 months, whether it will finally settle down or again it will make a new high. Because it happened this time also, after cooling off again it took a surge. So sir, in case cotton price goes up, what measure have you taken in case cotton price keeps on rising? Because your 60% of business is very much dependent on textile players.
Yeah, so our dye stuff sales are around 30%, out of which 60% depends on the textile. So overall, if I look at the overall top line, then it is not that significant number. But at the same time, if logistics is playing a key part, because even cotton, there is a global market, global supply and demand internally in different regions. So if you look at logistics, or if you look at basic cost, most of the things had reached a peak where now either they are slowing down or either they are settled in those levels. So going ahead, I don't feel that cotton prices can be even higher than the certain levels. But I see maybe in coming 2-3 quarters, them actually going correcting a little bit and maybe settling, where the textile players are able to absorb the cost and pass it on to the selling prices, where the consumers also absorb the increase in the price. So,
sir, have you taken any price hike in last couple of quarters?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on our cost increase, we definitely on day-to-day basis are applying the cost increase to our selling prices. Where we talked about HSC today, where it is difficult to pass it on, but all our products are able to absorb all the increase very comfortably.
Okay. And sir, regarding margin, like as all of us know that freight cost is higher, coal prices are also very much elevated. So what do you assess like regarding margin?
The coal prices have been higher for more than 6 months now, I think. So what we can say is that that has already been absorbed. Even all our major raw materials, the prices have been very on a higher side for last 2-3 quarters now. So there is already been absorbed. So even the number, if you look at our Q4 numbers, that even Q3 numbers that include most of the raw materials being on a higher side. So that shows that we are able to pass it on, and we are still able to do some decent margins.
Okay, got it. Sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. That was from my side.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add for your earlier question.
Yes, sir.
When you mentioned that the dye-stuff business, 60% we are dependent on textile business. See, we do have dye-stuff factories which is not dedicated for textile dyes only. It's a fungible capacity. We can produce leather dyes as well as paper dyes in the same complex to some extent. So there is a possibility we can switch over and do additional production for leather dyes or something like that. This is just I want to add.
Okay, sir. Okay, that is helpful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Ayushi Shah, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So my first question was regarding the committee that we made for exploring inorganic growth opportunities. So do we have any idea about what exact field are we looking at? Is it basic chemicals, dye intermediates, dye stuff? Where are we looking at? Which sector are we looking at for inorganic growth opportunities?
So, if I talk about the history of the organizations, where my father has done a lot of acquisitions, but obviously they were very small, back in the day. But that has definitely helped us to, create a good growth path, and that is the reason why we have reached a certain level, in the manufacturing numbers and, top lines and all that. What we felt is that we were not formally active in the M&A space. We were not formally active in the market, where I think we needed to be. So until now, other than the Punjab acquisitions, everything had come to us, on a local network. But we were never in the market, at a, let's say, India level or international level, where we look for opportunities. So that is why we have taken a formal organized step, where we have created a committee, which will meet on regular basis and explore. We will obviously be more aggressively active in the networks, in the M&A communities. So just to explore these opportunities in a more serious manner, we have done this. We are not clear, what kind of acquisitions we are looking for. The Punjab acquisition has been, fruitful for us. But we definitely would look for, specialty chemicals or some value-added, products. Obviously, nothing of a commodity nature and all that. But that is not a strategy. The strategy is not very clear at the moment. We just want to, activate ourselves into that space, which can bring in more and more opportunities, and we can probably encash on that.
Okay, sir. So, and my next question was about like what is like the breakup of the revenue, like just to understand in terms of like what is organic and like what is contributed from like increase in prices. And so, like if you could give me the guidance for the next year, like revenue levels, and if it would have been segmentized, then that would be great.
Yeah, so our intermediate business in last couple of quarters, the prices have not been very high. That is why maybe the margins were a little less. So there, which is around 700-800 crores, I think it can be about flat. Going into the next year also. Dye stuff again, I can say that it can be about flat because it is directly linked with the raw materials of dye intermediates. Chlor-alkali, where we did about 250 crores, which prices may correct, but again we are adding more capacity. So maybe that can also, in fact, will increase. It will have a higher top line. It should be from 255 to around maybe 300 plus levels. Other areas like Triumph Chemicals, where we had about 35 crores, there we are now doing much better than the last few quarters. So that also can add a little bit more revenues. And SPS, we have started the VS production there, so that can also add a little bit of more revenues. So overall, I think we can have a flat year as far as this current business is. We are also adding. We will be starting our Saikha production around May 2023. So that will also that will be impacted in the next year. But for this current ongoing year, I think we can have a flat year, but I think little bit more. So maybe 100 or 200 crores of more revenues in the current financial year.
Okay, sir. So basically, like the flat growth that you expect in like the next quarter and like the next 2 or 3 quarters is expected to like go on for the entire year, right?
Yes. But then again, FY24 we should definitely have a jump of around 300-400 crores. And again, FY25 when we have a fully utilization of our Saikha Greenfield project, there we are forecasting around 2,700-2,800 crores of top line. So within next 2 years, it can go from around 2,000 to about 2,800 crores.
Okay, sir. So, and like in the last conference call, you had given a guidance that, we'll be increasing our debt by around like 350 crores or something like that. So do we plan, like we already have increased like our debt by around 200 crores in this quarter. So like what is like the plan going ahead and like where will this debt majorly be used?
Yeah, there is another
part. Two areas where we are using. Yeah, Mayur, you can explain.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. See, as far as term debt is concerned, we are raising debt for this Saikha project as well as this modernization at Punjab unit. So at present, term debt in the balance sheet is about 213 crore, and during current year it may get added by about 300 crore, considering the growth in the project. So that will be a kind of 500 plus minus say 55 crore should be there at March 23. And as far as working capital is concerned, we are really focusing to reduce from this level because in last 2 quarters itself there has been a jump in prices of basic chemical, which has increased our blockage in working capital, particularly trade receivable as well as inventory. So we are doing conscious effort to reduce that and to reduce even utilization of working capital from the current level.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Co. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Dhanyavad, sir, for the opportunity, sir. Coming to this debt part only, sir, currently, what is our finance cost? What is our cost of funds currently for the long-term debt that we have tied up?
Yeah, for long-term debt, it is about 6.7%. In some of the case, it's about 7%. So on an average, it's about 6.8%. But since the RBI has increased the repo rate, that can increase to that extent going ahead.
And sir, yes, please, boliye.
But our working capital is at much lower because we are using about 125 crore of foreign currency loan, where the cost is about 2.5%, up to 2.2 to 2.5%, and whatever rupee loan we use for working capital, that is around 5%. So blended, we can say it's about 4.5 to 5% at present.
That is stated to go up only.
Sorry?
That is stated to go up only because of now the increase environment has changed. Sir, on an absolute number, sir, this was 29 crores sir, for this financial year. So this number should increase only since we will be drawing more funds for this year. And
interest cost will definitely increase because RBI has given clear signal that it can have another round of repo rate increase, and at the same time Fed is also increasing rate. So as far as so far is concerned, that is also at the increasing trend.
Sir, I would like to have some more understanding of slide number 29 and 30 of your presentation. If you could just give me just a second.
Sure.
Yes. Yes. So herein you have mentioned about the next level of growth, capex to drive next level of growth. If you could explain to us, sir, what are we currently exactly eyeing and this moving up the value chain with new chemistries. So these two aspects, if you could dwell more on this, explaining what are we eyeing currently.
Sure. See, there are two areas where we are doing growth. That is one at Punjab site and another is Saikha, South Gujarat site. As far as Punjab site, we have already acquired a running unit of Mawana Sugar for chlor-alkali. So it is a running unit. It is contributing to our revenue as well as bottom line. And over there, we are doing modernization kind of thing. So upgraded technology we are installing. So that process, as mentioned by Ankit by Diwali or by December, that process will over. So that will have a production of about 1 lakh metric ton per annum. So that is there, and that will have a capex of about 270 crore. As far as Punjab is concerned, this is one area. So this is a new line of activity we have started. Earlier, we were not into chlor-alkali business. So this is one. Another Saikha site, we are going to have two plant. One is sulfuric acid plant. That will be capacity addition for the company. We already have 500 metric ton per day plant for sulfuric acid at our Padra site, and another about 1,000 plus per metric ton per day plant we will have at our Saikha site. That will also have sulfuric acid as well as its derivative like chlorosulfonic acid, 23%, olein 65%, all these things. At the same site, we will also have benzene downstream product. When we say benzene downstream product, it's a benzene will be our raw material, and from benzene we will produce MCB. So MCB will be fully captively consumed, and from MCB we will produce PNCB, ONCB, MNCB, DNCB kind of products. So out of that, PNCB will have a further consumption as well as sales in the market, and from that we will produce PNA as well as 2,4-DNCB. At the same time, from 2,4-DNCB we will produce MPDSA. So there will be 3-4 stage of integration and basket of 6 to 8 product that we will start manufacturing, and that is a new line for us in a way. Though out of this product, PNA and MPDSA, we are producing at our Padra site, but in a lower quantum. So this sulfuric acid and benzene, both put together, will add about 550 crore of revenue for the company, and this will be operational in Q1 FY24. Hope I have covered all your questions.
So just to come to this derivative part of benzene, the code but abbreviations which you have used, its application finds in which sector? That I missed from the benzene derivative chain which you have mentioned. The products will be catering to which segment? And sir, for this H acid prices, what have been the price trends, sir? In your business highlights, you mentioned about H acid prices at 474 kg per kg. So what have been the price trends for last year? If you could give some color on that.
Yeah, during last year also, H acid price was more or less similar in the range. It was ranging between 450 to 500. In that range, it was there. As far as further downstream utilization of benzene downstream, I think Ankit Bhai will better make you understand. Ankit Bhai, over to you.
Yeah, so in benzene derivatives, there is a lot of import that happens since many years. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to substitute the imports that come into India. That is one of the main reasons. And second is that out of all the products that we are going to produce, there are 3 products that we consume captively in our intermediate space. So we also want to synergize, some of our raw material needs. And another reason is that, like the areas you asked for, where it is used, I think pharma is one of the main spaces. Paracetamol is where PNCB is used in a major way. Agrochemicals is another space where it is consumed in a big way. And then again, dye intermediates, and there is also some export opportunities as well. So again, we are getting into a business where it goes into multiple sectors. We don't want to depend ourselves where we expose ourselves to a limited or 1 or 2 sectors only. We want to be producing specialty products which has multiple applications not only in India but across the world.
Right. And sir, just to take things offline, we need to approach SGA for any one-to-one conversation going forward. If I could not cover every point here and I have something else to ask post the call.
Yeah, it is fine. You can contact them, and Srikanji or anybody who's here from SGA, please let us know. We can set up a call anytime, or we can do a in-person meeting also anytime.
Yes, sir. And sir, lastly, sir, just to derive some merit, if we could provide the numbers in lakhs and crores. If you look at your present, you also conducting the call wherein we are using terminologies of lakhs and crores, but in the presentation it is all about millions. So if it is not for any other purpose, if we could convert it into this lakh and crore, that would be more familiar for people in the investing community. Just a suggestion on my front, if that would be looked into, if any way, because everywhere we have mentioned,
Yeah, it makes sense, but in the past, and in the past we've had international investors. We also at the moment have international investors, so that is the reason why we move to millions, where we can have maybe a common numbers where everybody can understand. But on Mayur bhai, we can maybe consider this and maybe move to crores.
Yeah, we can look into it.
Right. Sir, but sorry to just dwell on one more point. And for H acid, you were mentioning something that there was some price disparity or some fluctuations that resulted in lower profits. So since you are told that the prices were averaging only from 450 to 500 rupees, the mention of the same, sir, I could not follow the point.
So at the moment, the input cost to manufacture H acid is very high. The product, the finished good price of H acid is around the same level, but the input cost, some of the raw materials are very, very high. So, and we are not able to pass on the increase in the cost in HSH because there is some quantities available from China, where their input cost is a little less. So at especially last about 20-30 days, this has happened in the industry where the Indian manufacturers of HSH are not, able to make decent margins in HSH. So there is some disturbances in that space. So the primary reason is, things like coal, caustic, some of the other raw materials, are a little bit higher compared to how much they are available at in local Chinese market. So I think it is a temporary thing, it may have some impact temporarily.
Right. And last point, just to conclude, for this 20% stake for Senar Boa, so the seller was a local person. How many parties were there from whom we purchased the 20%, and was there any clause?
Yeah. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, and was there any clause in which we had to buy back this because we paid a big valuation change, and this Senar Boa is only a trading company, or do we have a manufacturing facility also there? Correct me, sir?
So there is a value addition facility there, but it is not a complete manufacturing setup. So Senar Boya was our first buyer in Turkey, which is again one of the largest textile markets in the world, textile processing in the world. So them being our regular buyer since the beginning days, they had a very, very strong position in China, in Turkey and surrounding country markets. So we were actually planning to set up our own subsidiary company and start from scratch, which wouldn't have given us the quantities that we have already achieved. So the idea was to take over this majority trading company where they have a position in all these not only Turkey but surrounding countries also. So for us to grow in dyes sector, we have to start selling more to these strong areas where they consume a lot of dyes. So if we would have started it from scratch, it would have taken us a lot of time. We may not have even reached this level even after 5 or 10 years. So that is the reason why we bought this stake where it was a ready-made structure where they already had a good size market, and we are able to already more than double what they used to do because of the support that we give from Indian our own dye stuff. So there was no clause or anything, but I think we wanted to it's better off to do things independently. We wanted to wait to buy the remaining stake just to keep them active in the company, and they are definitely locals, the Turkish people. We wanted to keep them active in the business until we are confident and we learn about the business. And then at this point, we are satisfied with the growth that we have done in terms of volumes, and we have appointed people from India and local Turkish people also. So I think we reached the point where we were confident about the growth that we had forecasted. That is why we had gone ahead and bought the remaining stake.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, there will be no further questions. I would now like to hand the call back to Mr. Ankit Patel for closing remarks.
Thank you very much, everybody present on the call. Thank you, SGA. We are definitely, me and myself and Mayur Bhai are available. If anybody needs to connect to us one-on-one or via email or on a call or anything, please contact SGA and we can schedule a call or even a personal meeting at our office in Ahmedabad. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Bodal Chemical Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.